Hello and welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. Today we are back with an ultimate guide looking at Matchday 5. With only 2 match days to go left of the group stages, we are looking to kind of pull back on some teams with some possible rotation going on. So we're going to have a look at the qualified teams, and then for Matchday 5 we'll take a look at the fixtures, some of the clean sheet odds, and then the best wildcard team and limitless team as well. So we are starting off with the qualified teams because of course there is going to be some sort of rotation with the teams that are already through. We do have to kind of watch out as well with some teams that might want to be fighting for first place. You can see we've got 6 teams so far that are qualified. That's Real Madrid, Man City, Bayern, Leipzig, Inter and Real Sociedad. For the likes of Real Sociedad and Inter though, they are in the same group, are I believe even on points, so they are going to be trying to fight for first place, so there might not be as much rotation as there is for someone like Bayern, who are way top of the group right now. I do think for Matchday 5 though that the rotation shouldn't be as bad as it will be probably in Matchday 6. As it stands, the only team that has confirmed first place in their group is Bayern Munich, so we'll probably see maybe some rotation from them, but the rest of the teams we should basically see a full strength squad. I think with the likes of Real Madrid and Man City, if they win their Matchday 5 games, they will be confirmed as top of the table. So that's where we can kind of look ahead to Matchday 6 and probably expect some rotation. But obviously we are just looking at Matchday 5 right now. And I think for most of the teams, other than Bayern, don't know how much Bayern could rotate, but they do have the likes of Gnabry and Muller, who don't really play the UCL games, who possibly could come in and get some game time there. So we do have our fixtures and our clean sheet odds as well. So as you can see on the screen, the fixtures are kind of in some sort of order, from good to bad fixtures. And we're really looking at probably the top 5 teams. I don't think Sevilla are one that we're really going to be considering. So the likes of City, Barca, Arsenal, Real and Inter look like the kind of teams that you want to be targeting. Obviously we did speak about Bayern, who do have a game against Copenhagen at home, so we don't want to fully neglect them. I think someone like Kane has still a very good chance of scoring. I think looking at Arsenal are probably one of the teams that you want to be tripling up on, or at least doubling up. Saka and Saliba I think should be up there with the best picks you can have for Matchday 5 and 6. If you can get another one, maybe someone like Jesus, someone like Raya could be quite good if you've kind of got the funds available. I think Raya is probably one that's more for a limitless team, being one of the more expensive goalkeepers. Jesus about 8.6 million I want to say as well, so if you've got the money there I think he could be a great differential. But the likes of say Real Madrid and Barca, there's only really like 1 or 2 players that you would probably pick from them. Barca, you've got the goalkeeper who's Peña, because Ter Stegen is out injured with a back injury, but he is due back in mid-December, so he could play Matchday 6, so just keep that in mind if you're wanting to transfer in Peña, who is only 4 million and could be a very good option for Matchday 5. But other than like the defenders, Koundé and Cancelo, there's not really too many other picks. I don't think there's any midfielders I would want. Attackers about the same, so you can't really triple up on them as much as other teams. Same with Real Madrid, a lot of the players are just a bit expensive. Someone like Bellingham obviously you've got to go for, who is now back playing in the starting 11 today I believe it is for Real Madrid. But outside of him there's not really too many defenders wise, attackers wise. Obviously Rodrigo is on fantastic form right now, so if you can afford him at 9 million I think he definitely could be a decent one to go for. But we look at the fixtures all the way down to someone like Porto. That's where we get to the more tougher fixtures, but they are still like winnable games for these teams, so I wouldn't totally neglect them. I think it's more the teams on the right hand side that are going to have at least one tough fixture is where you kind of want to be limiting yourself to maybe one player if there is a standout pick at that price. Looking over to the right hand side, we do have our clean sheet odds as well, and you can kind of see with the teams that play on the 29th, the ones down the bottom play on the Wednesday, is more the teams that you would want to go for, so you do have to watch if you're wildcarding or using a limitless that you don't go for too many players that play on Wednesday. Obviously Inter this week have the highest odds of a clean sheet, so going for some of their defenders could be a good option. Again though, just keep in mind that they have already qualified and we could see some rotation. We have already seen it with the likes of DeMarco and Dumfries, but someone like Sommer in goals could definitely be a good option. I suppose you could say the same with Sociedad as well, but I don't know if you will see too much rotation with those two teams. Again, I did say they will be fighting for first place, but Arsenal I definitely would want to be tripling up on. Bayern have probably the easiest fixture of the match day, so you are going to want to look at them as well, but you are going to want to fill your team with City players. The likes of Haaland is just a nail-in. In terms of clean sheets, I think Lazio could be a really good one for the Tuesday as well. They do have a lot of cheap defenders. The likes of Patrick is only 4 million, has been playing most of the games, and the other centre backs are out injured right now. So if you're looking for someone to maybe bring the budget down a bit, I think he could be very, very good. Celtic are missing most of their wingers right now as well, so they are going to be out with a very depleted front line as well. So I think a clean sheet at home for Lazio could definitely be a very good option. And then of course Man City, Barca, PSG as well against Newcastle at home could be an interesting one if you wanted to gamble on someone like Mbappe. Hakimi could definitely be good as well, but of course the teams in red, we kind of want to be avoiding their defences. Someone like Di Lorenzo for Napoli, 17% chance of a clean sheet, obviously playing against Real Madrid away this week. Wouldn't be wanting to touch him, but he's definitely a transfer I'd be keeping in the back for match day 6. So looking at the best wildcard team then for Matchday 5, this is the one I've put together if I was going to be wildcarding this week. I went for Riznik in goal and Ramiro as well. I do think Ramiro is definitely one of the best picks of the season so far. He's only 4 million as the starting goalkeeper for Real Sociedad, and he's kept, I believe, 3 clean sheets in the last 3 Champions League games. I want to say it could be 2, but he is one of the top goal scoring goalkeepers so far this season, and I think you can go for him over Sommer. I think that was kind of the two we were looking at the start of the season for which ones to play in the same day. Obviously Ramiro is cheaper, so I do think he is the better option. And I went for Riznik as well. I went for him over Peña because both 4 million keepers, obviously we want to be trying to save the money in the goalkeepers because we get 2 chances at clean sheet. So there's Riznik and Peña, I think 2 very, very good options, but as a wild card you are going to want someone who's going to play match day 5 and 6, and I don't think you can guarantee that with Peña, so you're basically going to be booking in a transfer. An option you could go for was maybe going for Peña, keeping some money in the bank and then having Blas switch in match day 6. But I have went for Riznik as he does have the home fixture against Antwerp and then an away fixture in match day 6 against Porto, where probably won't keep a clean sheet in match day 6 but can definitely pick up some saves as well, and I think he's one of those guys who could pick up a clean sheet in match day 5 as well. So I do think this is a very, very good duo for the goalkeepers. In defence, I've opted for Rico Lewis, 4.6 million. I think he is a bit of a bargain. I do think at that price point you obviously have the likes of Rom as well, but with the fixture against Man City, I think you probably want to kind of keep him on the back for match day 6. But Rico Lewis has played in every single UCL game for City so far, and if we're talking about avoiding rotation, I think he's kind of the player that would come in for rotation anyways, so I do think he is basically guaranteed to start the next 2 games for City no matter what the results end up being. So I think for him, definitely going to be in the team. Of course, they do have Leipzig at home and then they have Red Star away. And I think there's 2 games that are possible for clean sheets. The Leipzig game, obviously, it could end up being a tough one. But the Red Star, you would hope for a clean sheet in that game. And of course, Lewis has picked up, I believe, an assist as well in the Champions League as well. So he can pick up those attacking returns as well. I've obviously went for Patrick as well. I did mention him. I do think he could be a very, very good cheap option. He is basically guaranteed to start for Lazio with Casali, I want to say his name is, with him out, and he has started in the last 5 games for Lazio as well, so I do think he could be good, and as I said, I don't think Celtic are going to score too many goals against them with a very depleted forward line. Saliba, as I said as well, playing against Lens, some of the easiest fixtures in the competition with the last 2 games. I do think at Arsenal have been very good in the Premier League for clean sheets as well, so I don't see any reason why they can't continue that in the Champions League. I went for Koundé at 5 million, the cheaper option to Cancelo. I do like both of them. However, for this team, you can see it is already 0.2 million over budget. I think most people should have a budget over that anyway. I think most of us have kind of got in with some price rises, so I didn't want to go too far over budget and go for Cancelo as well. So I do think both of them with Porto at home definitely could keep a clean sheet, and I do want to try have as many Barca players as possible. And then rounding off the defence, we have went for Dumfries. Again, someone who could end up being rotation prone, but I think if he does play, he definitely is one of those guys who could pick up big hauls. And again, this game week, Inter are the highest chances for a clean sheet in the competition, so I did want at least one Inter defender in here, and I do think Dumfries is probably the best one available. In terms of the midfield, Saka, Bellingham, I feel like two guys that don't really need an explanation. They should definitely be in your team. Again, as I said, Arsenal do have some of the best fixtures, and Saka is the main man, and of course Bellingham's probably the best player in the competition so far. I went for Çalhanoğlu. Again, I wanted a bit more Inter coverage, and Çalhanoğlu is on penalties. He did take a penalty over the weekend, even with Lautaro Martinez on the pitch, so he is the penalty taker. He's 7.1 million, and he kind of just fills that spot quite nicely. He's cheap enough that you can go for him. And then he's also someone who is a decent enough price that you can move on to Galeno in Matchday 6 if you did want to go that route and get Galeno against Shakhtar at home. Then I went for Mendes, again probably one of the best midfielders so far in the competition for Sociedad, again with very decent fixtures. Definitely probably the talisman for Sociedad so far in the group stages. Then I went for Rodri. I would have probably preferred someone like Foden, but the price didn't really allow it. I think having a Man City midfielder is just kind of what you're looking for. I think Foden as well, again, has played all the Champions League games, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't continue to do that, even with some rotation going along. So I think Foden probably is the best option, but I've went for Rodri, who I do think is probably just behind him, and he is a bit cheaper as well. And for the front line, we have went for Kane and Haaland, again two staples which should be in everyone's team. I think considering that Kane is playing against Copenhagen at home, you've kind of got to go for him, and I don't know if the rotation will really be there for Bayern. They do have obviously Tell on the bench who could come off for Kane, so you could end up seeing an early substitution with him, and we'll need to just kind of see what happens in the league going up to match day 6. But I think even with a fixture against Man United in match day 6, they are going to want to win that game, despite already being top of the group. So I see no reason why Kane should be rotated as well. But as I said, they do have the likes of Müller, Tell, Gnabry who could come in that front line for Bayern. So you do just have to watch out for that, which is one of the reasons why Sané is not in this team. But I do think you have to go with Kane. And then to finish things off, I went for Morata. I think him and Griezmann look like very, very good options. They are kind of head and head right now with each other, but obviously Griezmann being on penalties. However, Morata is much cheaper, and I think for a wildcard team or someone using free transfers, you definitely want to be looking at Morata instead and using that budget elsewhere. But that is the wildcard team. If there's any outstanding players that I've missed, let me know down in the comments. If there's any players that you think should be in here, let me know. And if I've picked anyone that you're like, why the hell has he picked him? Let me know. I like to hear people's thoughts on it. But let's take a look at the Limitless team. So for a Limitless team, I have opted for a fairly similar squad, but with a couple more expensive changes. In goals, I went for Peña, as I was saying. I do think he will be very, very good for Matchday 5. Even though this is a Limitless squad, I do think he's probably one of the better options you can go for the Tuesday games. And then I went for Sommer on the Wednesday, obviously with a higher clean sheet odds than Ramiro, and we don't really have to worry about the price. In defence, you'll see I've opted for Rico Lewis again. Again, someone on a Limitless, you would maybe want to be looking at more expensive players, but I do think you can't ignore the good players despite them being so cheap. So I do think Rico Lewis is just going to be one of the best options for Matchday 5 as well. I have went for Cancelo over Koundé. As I said, I do think he is very, very similar, but he is the more expensive option and can be very, very explosive as well. So we have opted for him. Then I have opted for Saliba. As I said, I do believe he is one of the best picks of the game for the remaining group stages. And I've actually took a punt on Hakimi against Newcastle at home. I do think he could be a very, very decent pick on a Limitless. Obviously, he does play on the Tuesday. That is really one of the main reasons why he is here. I have got the dates under all these players, because it is really hard to find players playing on the Tuesday. I do think maybe going for someone from PSG could be quite good. So I went for the punt on Hakimi to hopefully do something against Newcastle at home. I went for Munoz, someone who plays as a left back for Real Sociedad. He is their highest scoring defender so far this season, and he does get a lot of attacking returns. I believe he picked up an assist in the last game as well, and for clean sheets, of course, Real Sociedad have been one of the best so far this season, so I do think he is a very decent pick. And then, as I said, also got Rico Lewis in there as well. In midfield, again, very similar. I've got Mendes, Saka and Bellingham, 3 players who I've already explained. And then I do have Sané as well, because I do think trying to really target that Copenhagen game could be very good. And of course, we did mention that Sané could be rotated, but I do think he probably is worth the risk on that Wednesday, because if he does play, he does have a chance to be very, very good and hopefully get the hauls that we were seeing from him last season. And then of course we got Phil Foden. As I was saying, I picked Rodri in the wild card and couldn't afford someone like Foden, so I do think having him in the Limitless team is definitely a good option. And of course, for the strikers, we do have Kane and Haaland, someone who again don't need explanations. I think both of them should definitely be in everyone's team at the moment. And then I have went for Gabriel Jesus, someone who unfortunately plays on Wednesday. I think if Arsenal played on Tuesday, I would be a lot happier with this trio, but I do think going for Jesus again could be a very, very good differential. He has been out injured. I think people with free transfers could possibly look towards him, but I believe they'll have like other players that they'll go to, so I think someone on a Limitless could really benefit from going for someone like Gabriel Jesus. And that is the Limitless team. Again, if you've got anyone that you think definitely should be in here, make sure to drop it in the comments. But that is going to end off this video. Hopefully it helped you in any way and it kind of makes your decisions a bit easier going into Matchday 5. I will have a team selection video out tomorrow. That will be my own team using free transfers. So if you want to watch that, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button and then turn on the notifications as well, so you know exactly when that video comes out tomorrow. And of course we do team selection videos every single week of the Champions League, so make sure you subscribe for more of that. So again, thank you all for watching and I will see you all in the next video.